I'd like to coach you on how to best answer questions around cross-functional collaborations and working in teams in general. Now, from the start, the misunderstanding when these questions are getting asked in job interviews would be, what do they mean by cross-functional collaboration? Many people don't understand what this actually means. So in simple terms, a cross-functional team means teams of people of different subject matter area of expertise. For example, a team can work cross-functionally that is composed of a PM, a developer, a salesperson, and so on. The opposite of a cross-functional team is a functional team. That is, people with the same area of expertise. Let's say you have a group of 6 testers, or you have a group of 3 developers. Right? Could be different levels of seniority, but the idea is they would have the same functional expertise, so that's why they would be called a functional team, right? Now let's go back to the cross-functional collaboration. This is an extremely important topic to prepare, especially if you're someone whose area of expertise relies on cross-functional collaboration. Notably, principal PMs, for instance, would very much rely on their communication skills, and the outcome of their job interviews would be determined around these areas. Now, what if we look at some sample questions around this topic? I actually have a great list of questions around team collaboration and leading teams that is from Harvard, which I'll put on screen right now. I'll also link this document if you want to get a good resource of possible behavioral questions for job interviews. And talk is cheap, so what if we take a look at an example here? For the interview question, tell me about a new procedure or a new feature that you wanted your team to use. Okay, so this comes from a principal PM at a well-known jobs website, and basically this is the story of how they launched the first API in this jobs website, and basically would sell yourself on your ability to convince the general availability in this context that, hey, you know what, this is the next great thing moving forward. And of course, you would get buy-in, you would get a few customers for a trial, to convince management, hey, you know what, this is actually worth the effort. Your management would have concerns that, hey, you know what, maybe you'd have to build a whole support team for this process. You present them with your arguments, pros and cons. You have a discussion based on data, based on your communication skills, and that's how you influence cross-functionally, right? So notice how the type of example that does best in these job interviews closely links with the responsibilities of the types of roles you're applying for. In this case, a principal PM is in charge of launching a feature that eventually grew to 400 million in revenue. Okay, so if this candidate would talk about the cross-functional collaboration where they had an insignificant argument with a tester or with a developer, that would not go well when it respect to selling themselves as someone who excels on cross-functional collaboration. So I would very much encourage you to consider this leadership component, because leading projects and leading cross-functional teams is most likely what they're actually interested in during a job interview in order to closely match the seniority. Right, so I hope you found this useful, and thank you very much for watching.